Let's move to the Pac-12 now, where UCLA, stop us if you've heard this before, had a huge halftime lead on USC. This time, the result was not what it was the first time. If you remember back, UCLA blew that game. It was tied. It exchanged leads, and then UCLA wrangled it back to win the first time. Tonight, not the case. USC actually wins by 13 points after being down 37-25 at halftime. USC pours 52 points in the second half and wins this game 77-64. Jim, we'll go to you first. Does this result say more about UCLA or does it say more about USC?
It says a lot about this rivalry. I feel like it's hard to run away in these two. You go back a few games between USC, UCLA, and they're constantly close. The concerning part is the second half. I think fairly highly of Mick Cronin as a coach, but that's twice in a row. Enfield's run circles around him in the second half. So the combined 40 minutes of the 2 second halves, UCLA with 39 points in 40 minutes of basketball, that's terrible. Considering how prolific they looked in the first half. Really concerning. I still like the makeup of that roster, given the senior point guard and a go-to scorer in Jaquez and some high upside freshmen with Bailey and Bona. But you have to kind of take a look in the mirror. Coming off a loss, up double digits at half, you can't lose that game. That concerns me. I've thought very highly of UCLA recently, but given what we saw tonight, I have to take some second thoughts on the Bruins.
Second half basketball there for UCLA. I want to know what Andy Enfield said to Boogie Ellis, because yes, 52 points for USC in the second half, 27 from Boogie. Goodness gracious. What do you 10 coming from the free throw line? And I looking at how did UCLA respond in that second half after having a great first half. You know, you can't have your point guard, and I love Tyson Campbell, love him to death. Love his hair. Who can't love that hairstyle? Three of your starters go without a field goal in the second half, and your point guard has 3 turnovers. Eight turnovers in the second half, leading to 15 easy basket, live ball turnovers, leading to 15 points for USC. Got to find a way to stop the bleeding. And when you have a team with such experience and veteran leadership, being able to find a way to first off defend, and that's the thing. When we look at a team when we look at the tournament matchups, what is the weakness? Usually the weakness is a guy that's just a game breaker, and that's Boogie Ellis. Gets to the line, knocks down the 3, creates his own shot. I mean, what can you do with that? You can run any type of set, and if you can't stop a guy like that and you can't score enough points, your season's going to end early, and it's just going to be a disappointment, especially when you have a roster as such for UCLA with the expectations. I won't sell UCLA. I think they're too talented, but I'm not going all in on them as of yet.
Yeah, if this was last year, we'd be playing the "Are we sure this team's good?" game when they had the magical March run from the play-in to the Final Four. Then the next year, it's like, okay, maybe that was just a run, right? We don't know if this team's good. We want to see it again. This year, it's like, okay, this is year 3 of the Tiger Campbell, Jaime Jaquez core. You love those two. Critical game result tonight for the Pac-12 conference, because there are 4 teams sitting behind UCLA right now with 3 losses in the standings: USC, Utah, Arizona State. UCLA in the last week has gone from undefeated in the Pac-12 to all of a sudden a half game or a full game ahead of those teams, depending on how many games have been played, with back-to-back losses at Arizona and USC. If they could have stolen one of those, you still feel like they've got a stranglehold on the conference. Now, not so much. One quick thing I want to ask you guys, and then we got to go to break. I'm not going to go the full-blown sell, but Dagan asked us in break, is UCLA overrated? I said yes. Here's why. You look at their schedule. Are we sure they've beaten any team that's going to make the NCAA tournament yet? Genuinely. Their best win is what? USC at home, and they almost blew a 20-point lead? Like, they lost to Illinois. They lost to Baylor. They got Maryland. Kentucky might not make the tournament.
Kentucky
we don't know.
Is going to make the tournament. Hey, and we're going to get into it later. Let's see what happens this Saturday. I'm telling you. There's a lot on the line. Lot on the line in that game.
That's a good tease, PY. Jim, you're giving me a look though. Like you could make a case they haven't beaten an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, maybe, but some of they've beaten teams away from home, like at Maryland. Maryland's running teams in the
they
Big
beat the
Ten
brakes
at
off of
Maryland.
Maryland. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, just destroyed them. Then went up to New York right after that and kind of controlled Kentucky for 40 minutes. So Kentucky wasn't who they are now, but still an impressive win. They don't have the super top of the line head your resume, and they're not going to get many chances for that. Like not beating Illinois, Baylor, and Arizona takes that away. They will get Arizona. They only play Arizona once. That's what are you doing? Oh no, they got them at the end of the year. Sorry, finale of the season. That's going to be the big one for UCLA. Put that at the top of your resume, and maybe you can climb up to that 2 seed, potential 1 seed discussion. But right now, with this losing skid, it is a little bit concerning. Given I thought Campbell and Hawkins would be such steadying forces for them, and we didn't see that in the second half at all.
The Pac-12 is just weak.
Couple games. Ooh, I like that energy, Pat. I like it a lot. A couple. Yeah, you said pre-show. You didn't want to get spicy pre-show, and I'm out here dissing the Big Ten. But now mid-show, we can diss the Pac-12 a little bit.
That's the real weakness right there. Big Ten's fine.
I like it. You're speaking my language. Well, a couple get-right games, I would call it, for UCLA. Next week, they've got Washington at home, Washington State at home. Hopefully, they can win those two. We can talk about them in a more positive light after that. Coming up, we're going to play one of my many games that I forced the Field of 68 network to play. We're going to play a game of call, fold, or all in, as we become gambling men and break down 5 of the most divisive teams in the sport of college basketball. That's next on the Field of 68 After Dark.